Welcome. Always good to see you. I think my microphone's actually working this time, which is very exciting. Just going to give everybody a moment to join. This is part of my welcome. This is part of my 90 days of going live Monday through Friday at noon, a time to connect with ourselves, each other, and learn something new. Today, I'm going to be talking about networking in person. Now that we are, quote, back from COVID, whatever that means. I don't know if anyone's gone to a networking event recently and felt like they were out of practice a little bit, a little rusty, or maybe even before COVID, you were feeling not so confident when you go to networking events. I have built my entire career from the relationships, not just through networking events, but really just networking anywhere. I mean, one of my bosses, actually, he met my stepmother on a plane. I have met people, COVID is still out there. Yeah, that's why I'm always like, yeah, post COVID. But now that we are, doing things in person again, for sure, be careful, be safe. I've realized that we could probably use a refresher on introducing ourselves to people when we go to these events, feeling less nervous about it and just maximizing opportunities. I mean, you can meet people anywhere and everywhere. I have met amazing folks who changed my life on buses, standing in line for things, on planes. I think there's a trend here, which is that they are a captive audience. I mean, I kind of believe in fate, right? Like if you are in a certain place and you meet a person, you are destined to meet them. Here's the challenge though. What are you going to do with it? Right? You got to take the action. So as part of these daily lives, I commit to you and just being transparent about things I've experienced in my own life. And if you see my eyes going back and forth, it's because I'm live on LinkedIn and also on Instagram. I want to address how to be less nervous when you go into networking events. And then once you're there, how do you maximize opportunities to not just, quote, meet as many people as possible, because that's actually not the key. It's quality over quantity. Okay. Love this quote by William Butler Yeats. He says, "There are no strangers here, only friends you haven't met yet." That is a great attitude to have before going into any kind of experience, particularly a networking event. And I think a reason we get very anxious about networking events is we feel like we have to perform. Right? It's all about, the things that we say and what are people going to think of us, and everyone's just worried about themselves. So I think the key to fabulous networking is to make the other person feel recognized. Yeah, and that means coming with curiosity, genuine curiosity, and also the ability to be present. It's so rare, so rare. We're all in our heads, right? When you connect with somebody who actually feels like they are in the moment with you and genuinely focused on you, that person is memorable. And guess what? They didn't even have to say anything. Again, it was their active listening, their presence. So, I want to talk quickly about some other mindset shifts before you go to a networking event, or really any, I think, experience where you feel that pressure to perform. So this is applicable, I think, for interviews as well. Remind yourself, when you feel nervous, actually, it's excitement, right? You feel pressure because you want good things to happen out of it. This is exciting. So try to trick yourself in that mindset shift. Also, this is an opportunity to help others. When we go into these networking events, we're thinking about, well, what can I get out of this? You come in with an agenda. Let's flip the script and say, what can I do to help somebody else? Paying it forward. That is the best kind of networking, okay? Also, people show up to networking events because they want to network. So they're there, even if they're giving off vibes like, a little bit closed off, remind yourself that that's probably stemming from their insecurity. So instead, hi, Sabrina. Oh, my best friend joined from Germany. I'm talking about getting back into the habit of networking events and being less nervous and ways to maximize the opportunity. But everyone is there because they want to meet each other. So even if you're not getting that vibe from them, they wouldn't have showed up otherwise. Okay. Aim for quality over quantity. So when you go to a networking event, it's not about trying to meet as many people as possible, because if you do that, those conversations might feel rushed and they're going to get that energy from you like you don't really care. I mean, one of my pet peeves, honestly, is when somebody's not giving me eye contact and instead kind of like looking over my shoulder. Who else can they meet? I feel like I'm a flyover to somebody else who's more interesting. It's really offensive, actually. So quality over quantity. Make it a goal maybe to meet really 3 interesting people that you can build relationships with. And it only takes one person to change your life, okay? And same thing for you. You're going to change their life. And amp yourself up too, right? Like listen to music, like come with energy. People are going to remember not necessarily what you said, but how you made them feel. Hi, Talia. And one way to make somebody feel really good in an interaction is they will feed off your positive energy. So try to get yourself into as good of a headspace as possible before you go into that networking event. Also, maybe channel one word like, I want to appear really grounded. Or maybe I want to appear really confident, but then I want you to dig into that. What does confident actually feel like in your body? How does it get expressed, all right, in an interaction with somebody else? Because you have a lot of things going on in your mind. When you're going into a networking event, maybe you're desperate for a job, but we don't want to give off that energy, right? So let's just channel one word. What is the feeling you want somebody to have when they interact with you? I also like to put on a little bit of armor. And also sometimes my quote armor can be, even a conversation starter. So, an interesting, earrings or, a ring or the bracelet, whatever. I comment on other people's appearance. It's probably not good to do that. I don't think we should be. I mean, let's not comment on each other's bodies. But listen, if somebody shows up and they're wearing a really funky necklace, they're probably inviting you in to ask you a question about it. So I actually find that to be a wonderful way to break the ice with somebody. Hey, awesome necklace. Seems like it has a story, right? And people go, oh, again, at the end of the day, folks just want to feel recognized in life. Okay. So, you coming in with wearing something, that invites another person to ask you a question, do the same for them. And if you're still feeling like, oh God, networking, the word gives me the heebie-jeebies, right? That's probably because you were thinking of networking in transactional terms, right? I instead would really reframe it as community building, okay, for yourself, connecting, being a connector, helping other people, paying it forward, changing lives. You making an introduction for somebody, took you 2 seconds to do it. Those people, they could get married and have babies. I've done it before, okay? You really, you have no idea what you can offer somebody else until you ask them, what can I do to support you? Which is a fabulous tool for networking. So again, this pressure to, I have to go in and perform and be impressive, your desire to learn and to help others, that is what makes excellent networking. All right, now you may have questions about, I walk into this networking event, and we're talking about in person right now. I'm happy to talk about virtual in a minute, but we walk into a networking event and let's say you're by yourself, which good for you. That takes bravery. So to me, you're already a success. If you have that ability to go to an event by yourself and actually show up, that good on you. But you got to go up to somebody. What do you say? I kind of like to call it the elephant in the room and just say, networking is awkward. I'm Claire. Just like acknowledging the fact that a lot of us may be out of practice here when it comes to networking. I also, I get the vibe of the room. I see, where's the energy, where some sort of friendly faces. And I go up to the people who look the friendliest. And, I say, hey, the pandemic got me out of practice with these networking events. How was it for you? I mean, that's the sort of nice thing about the pandemic, in that it was a great, equalizer in many ways for people. No matter what your situation was, chances are you felt isolated. And so there's a hunger. There may be an insecurity, but there is still a hunger to want to connect. And so sometimes just calling that out in and of itself can be a great way to start a conversation with somebody new. Or even just saying, you look friendly. That's why I'm coming up to you. My other favorite line is, which cheese is your favorite? Assuming you are by the wine and cheese. Okay, so you start this conversation with this person. Best thing you can do is active listening. This is so hard to do. It's especially hard to do when you also have to think about how to move the conversation forward. If you are so deep in the active listening that you're not, prepared to say your next thing, it's a dance, right? Between being in the moment with them, deeply listening, but also having the wherewithal to then ask another question or to connect it to something in your life, right? But I do find when you practice active listening, when you are deeply hearing what that person is saying, trying to say, right, you will naturally come up with the next thing to say on your end, whether it is a question for them or connecting it back to a story of yourself. There's a lot of nonverbal cues we need to be aware of in this active listening too. I forget the statistic. Maybe some of you know it if you want to jump in. I think the majority of how we connect with other people has nothing to do with the words that we say, but everything to do with the vibe we give off. And what is vibe? Okay, in a scientific term, what is vibe, right? This is the smiles, the open posture. Do we bring energy with our gesticulation, right? All of that stuff, the in between the lines. Human beings are reading each other. What is this person actually trying to say beyond the words coming out of their mouth? So bring that, all right? Be aware of that. And eye contact. Another one of those things that is game changing, but so hard to do. First of all, I'd like to know from you all, does anybody else struggle with maintaining eye contact with people? Okay. I actually do. And I have worked hard to overcome that. I think probably at the end of the day, it has to do with some insecurities about yourself, right? When you pitch, let's say you have an idea or maybe a company and you're telling somebody about your idea, about your company. Do you note how oftentimes you look away or look down when you're talking about it? How long can you maintain eye contact with them while making your pitch about, again, your idea, your company, or whatever it is? Now, we don't want to be creepy about it. Tori Dunlap in the house. So exciting. Good to see you, Tori. I have your book right over here. Yeah. Check out Financial Feminist, everybody. Excellent book and a minute. Okay. So we're talking about networking in person and making eye contact, maintaining eye contact. First and foremost, let's not be creepy about it. Okay, we all agree on that. There's a difference between like, we're not blinking eye contact and, normal eye contact. But if you start to notice other people's inability to maintain eye contact, it is going to show you, wow, if I just get a little bit better at this, I'm going to be memorable. Just by the fact that I can maintain eye contact with this person, I will stand out. And one way to practice is first note the color of their eyes. This is really hard. This is, if you were to walk away and somebody said, oh, what was the color of that person's eyes? Would you be able to remember it? How about their name too? A way to remember it, repeat it. Oh, Tori, great to see you here. Okay. It's going to help stick in your mind. I would hold your eye contact for maybe like 4 to 5 seconds at a time, or just, however long you notice it takes to register the color of their eyes. And when you break eye contact, try not to look down, okay? So if you do need to look to the side, that's fine, but it's the looking down that's giving off the vibes that you're not quite secure in yourself, okay? Also, if you need to break eye contact, maybe do it in like a triangle on their face. This is something I did when I was researching eye contact, just between their eyes. What's a, mouth triangle? Okay. And just know that it's a process of improvement. So if you are somebody who really struggles, you're not going to go from struggling to, oh, I'm excellent at eye contact. Like it actually may always be kind of difficult for you. And that's okay. But knowing that you are improving or at least trying, that counts. Oh, by the way, when you maintain eye contact, there's research that says that it now is more likely that that person will perceive you as intelligent. Again, at the end of the day, we just want to feel recognized. So remember in the beginning when I talked about the pressure of networking, sometimes we feel like we have to be impressive and perform. Turns out you don't have to say anything to do that. Okay. So there's also a trustworthy aspect to this that was really the reason, the motivation that came from wanting to get very good at maintaining eye contact, particularly when talking about my business, is that we are more likely to be perceived as trustworthy. And I find that for whatever reason, for me, getting a call from a pharmacy. Sorry about that, guys. Reconnecting to there we go. Good to see everybody. Sorry about that. Good to know that when somebody calls me, my Instagram gets disconnected. But thanks for staying. We're talking about networking in person and how to get better at it. Turns out it's not about the elevator pitch. It's about the eye contact and making people feel recognized. So just knowing that you're going to appear more intelligent, more trustworthy when you maintain that eye contact, so important. Here's the thing though. You want them to remember something about you, right? Like even if you say nothing about yourself and you just made them feel good, they'll have nice vibes with you and that is important. But you also want them to be able to, feel excited to connect with you afterwards. And so I find this, at least in my life, having some interesting stories in my back pocket that are kind of my go-tos, and then finding ways to weave that into the conversation. Use that as a bit of a challenge for yourself. And if you don't have any interesting stories, or maybe you're in a place where, you don't like what you do for a living, or you're unemployed, that's okay. Talk about what you want to do. What people want to connect with you over is enthusiasm. So doesn't matter if you're not enthusiastic about what you do, chances are you could get enthusiastic about the idea of what you want to do. What are the problems you like to solve, right? Share that. And do not be afraid to ask for help, but do it in kind of a general way where nobody feels like you put them neck pen. Wow, we are seeing some awesome people joining this live. You guys, we have some amazing women who are on Instagram Live right now. I just got to shout out, we're talking about in-person networking, but virtual networking. Amazing. We can connect from everywhere in our pajamas. So, if people want to connect with you over positive energy, at least dig into the things that you love to do, and you can be upfront about what you're looking for. In fact, the more specific you are about what you're looking for, the more likely it is that somebody will be able to help you. A, because you were clear, but B, they're busy. So you're now giving them tools or ways that they can think about helping you that then will be quick for them to enact. Meaning, hey, I'm looking for a job, but get very clear about the kind of job. If there's anybody who works at X, Y, and Z companies, I'm particularly interested in those. Or if you know anybody who has pivoted from journalism to tech, right? Just try to, just make it, again, as specific as possible, but don't ask them up front, are you hiring? Give me a job, right? Like, you need to build a relationship, and that's going to take time. So it's this balance of where you're being very clear and specific about what you're looking for, but also allowing space for that person to offer to help you. This is controversial advice that I have right now, or maybe controversial. I do not like giving out business cards. I don't think it's a good idea, because in the past, I found when I handed somebody a business card, they said, thank you very much, and never contacted me. Whereas if in the moment I said, hey, put your email, obviously I have to go off the vibe of the conversation, but if in the moment I said, hey, would you put your email into my phone, and right then and there sent them an email reminding them of how we met, now you're able to get in touch with them, and you're not reliant on them following up, because most people just don't. And that's another thing that's going to help you stand out, is by simply following up and following through. You look self-motivated. You are self-motivated, right? Again, back to the showing up to an in-person networking event, especially if you're doing it by yourself. That is impressive. That is impressive. I want to just also acknowledge, by the way, somebody, Elisa, seeing some awesome people on LinkedIn Live too. Somebody commented, I'm also neurodivergent, so eye contact is even harder. Totally. Again, this stuff takes practice. And that's why we need to be very patient with ourselves as we hopefully are improving. And also share what you learn. If there's certain tactics that you have found helpful for you, go post on LinkedIn about it. It's a great way, of giving content that gets you into other people's streams and also helps, it's providing value to them, right? I do want to share a networking story from myself to just show you how, even though I may look, very confident, and I am at times, I also struggle with this. And hopefully this will help humanize the whole process. A number of years ago, I went to a networking event that had a very interesting format, and I encourage anybody who wants to host events, you should do this. Everybody in the circle, we are all sitting in sort of circle. Everybody went around and said, here is an ask that I have of the room and an offer I can give. And it was sometimes really specific, again, I'm looking for a job. And other times it was more, I just want to meet people who work in this industry. I want to learn more about angel investing. But it was such a cool way of connecting with each other. Now, here's the story, though. There was a woman who spoke up, and she shared her ask and offer. And I was with Ashley, my co-founder and wife, who says to me, oh my goodness, it's Beth Comstock. We have to meet her. Now, Beth, at the time, she had recently left GE. She had been the vice chair of innovation. Huge deal. And she was writing a book and needed help kind of getting the word out there. And after we did the sharing, there was a whole line of women who wanted to meet Beth. And Ashley says, all right, let's get on the line. It was like I had concrete blocks in my fucking feet, okay? I could not bring myself to introduce myself to Beth. I literally said, I'm going to stay by the food and wine and you go do this. I panicked. And I see Ashley get in line, meeting Beth. And then afterwards, Ashley goes, let's go. I'll tell you about it. Turns out Beth Comstock knew who Ladies Get Paid was, not only knew who we were, but had been so impressed by the money scrunchie icon on our website that she went and had found the person who made it and hired her for her own website. And then Ashley set up a coffee with Beth. Long story short, Beth ended up hiring us to work with her on her book launch, connected us with multiple brands who sponsored our events, wrote a blurb for my book. I mean, has ultimately become this business sort of fairy godmother. None of that would have happened if Ashley had not had the guts to go and introduce herself. So every time now when I go to a networking event or I'm in any kind of, if I have an opportunity to connect with people and I'm being a little chicken shit about it, as I normally am, I do it for Ashley, right? I think, what would Ashley do? So sometimes we got to muster the courage of other people, to give us that fire to actually follow through. I have other stories of times where I've chickened out. I also have great stories of times where I didn't, so it's a journey. It's a journey. And again, you don't feel like you need to have a lot of interesting things to say about yourself. If you just show curiosity and enthusiasm and a willingness and a desire to listen and help others, then it goes a long way. That was my daily live. Thank you all so much for joining. Again, this is part of the 90-day challenge I'm giving myself to commit to sharing lessons Monday through Friday at noon Pacific time on both LinkedIn and Instagram. Ladiesgetpaid.com. Please join us. We are always looking for more people to be in part of our family. I am so proud of each and every one of you. I hope that this gave you some wisdom and motivation to put yourself out there. You got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose, except maybe, some confidence, but everything to gain from putting yourself out there. And it starts with us right here in this moment. I mean, even y'all just joining this live and, it does count. It does count. All right. Hopefully I'll see you at the next one. Bye.